Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. My 4-year-old with ASD is pushing his 3-year-old brother hard to the ground. And worse, he seems to like doing it. I'm horrified and frightened. To add to the situation, my mother-in-law saw him do this and is telling everyone in the family that it's because he has autism and has no empathy. And they said, help, with an exclamation point. So what would you do in that case?
Oof, okay. All right. I'm trying to first calm down from the no empathy portion of that question, because honestly, I find my kids are some of the sweetest, loveliest human beings I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, it's a lie. It's like misinformation that got put out after Rain Man, and whoever perpetuates that now, we need to kick them with a pointed shoe. But not really. I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying, like, Shannon, honestly, I think it's not even, I don't know if, I mean, you make a good point. Just because I was so involved in autism already before Rain Man, I just think it comes from the word autism. You know, the word autism has to do with isolation, right? Preference to isolate. And I think it's very wrong. It's very wrong. And I think our individuals, our kids and adults, if they isolate, if they become autistic, which means kind of to isolate, it's because the stimuli and the environment are traumatic for them, are too overwhelming for them. And they're trying to protect themselves. So forget about, they're not trying to isolate. A lot of our kids really, in fact, a lot of adults that I know and work with are depressed because they don't have a social group.
Yes.
And so it makes no sense. So, but going back to the basic idea that, and so this is a child who is also very young, and the child is pushing their younger sibling in a dangerous way. And so, like everything else, we have to always start by asking ourselves, what is the function of the behavior? Why is the child doing this? And I'm on this particular one, I'm gonna put my money on the fact that it could be attention seeking.
Okay.
A lot of times, and we've talked about functions of behavior multiple times, and there's many functions. There's always, I start out by saying everything we do is to gain access to something or to avoid something. The things that we want to gain access to could include tangibles like objects, toys, etc., or attention. And usually what happens when there's any kind of, conflict between siblings, it has to do with one of those. It's usually a matter of, I either want the toy you're playing with, or I want more attention. You're getting attention. And so, and we need to realize as parents that for our kids, sometimes, not always, but sometimes, positive and negative attention are the same. It doesn't really matter. They just want your attention, right? And this is not, by the way, this isn't, I'm not talking about just autistic kids. I'm just talking about, in general, human beings want attention. And I don't remember who I was talking to the other day, and I was actually doing I was doing a diagnostic evaluation for a family, and they were telling me how their child, who was autistic, is the oldest child, but battles with the youngest child. And it looks like they're both battling each other for attention. And usually, any of our parents who have many children will agree that usually the youngest child is the one that gets all the attention, right? And everybody learns a different lesson just because of the whole where you are in the family, right? And in this particular case, it's very possible that the family is giving a lot of attention to the younger child, and the child in question has determined that they will get attention if they push the younger child. So as everything else, like always in behavior analysis, once you've identified the function, you will stop it from being effective and you will replace it with some other thing that is more effective. So for example, in this case, you must be very, very cautious to not allow the older child to push the younger child wherever possible. You will get in the way of that. You will prevent it again. I know it's hard and sometimes you just won't catch it, but I always like to say try to do more antecedent control. Try to do it, try to get the child, prevent the child from doing something wrong rather than waiting for the child to do something wrong and then being angry and punitive about it. It's always
Well, in fact, when you were like, and it's not just about blocking the access. If what they're wanting is attention, you can shower them with attention, right?
definitely right. So absolutely. So what you do need to do is you need to give the child another way to ask for attention. If it
Mm.
is attention, you need to have the child, whenever you see that it's about to happen, like they're about to go push their sibling, you need to get in the way and you need to model for the child what you want them to say. Like, Mom, can we talk? Or Mom, I don't, I want this thing. Or Mom, give them some way of getting your attention, and then you divert them, go and do something with them for a minute, and the whole situation is handled properly. If you wait until they actually push the other child, then it becomes kind of a situation where you have to do response cost or something negative, right? It's always better to give the child other ways of gaining your attention. Now, it could also be that this child is pushing the sibling because they want access to a toy. Same thing here. You want to make sure that they do not get the toy if they push the child,
Mhm.
but they get the toy if they ask for it. And with your attention, it's the same thing. Teach them to ask in a more appropriate way and give the child a lot of attention.
I'm a middle child, so obviously I understand the whole getting attention thing. Totally. I totally understand that. And when I was a teacher, it was funny because there were a lot of students who would come into my classroom and they started putting kids in my classroom that they considered the problem cases. Because I never looked at the kids who had attention, needed attention as being the problem kids. Like to me, like I love when I'm speaking in front of a group of people and I can identify somebody who's really an attention seeker because you're going to win.
Yeah.
Like it's the easiest thing in the world if you're willing to change what you're doing. When I don't teach anymore, not recently, but I would go in and direct a play at my son's school when he was in grade school. And there was one class in particular, they were like, "Oh, you're going to have a hard time with this one." And I went in and there was one young man, his name was Juan, and he was like, just doing all kinds of things and creating havoc in the classroom. And I went over and I said, "What's your name?" And everybody was like, "Ooh, he's going to be in trouble." And he said, "Juan." And I said, "Juan, you're exactly what I've been looking for. I need an assistant director. Can you come and stand right by me? And you and I are
Excellent.
going to direct this together." And
Excellent.
anything that would happen, I would be, "Juan, what do you think? What should we do here?" Suddenly, Juan became the best director on the face of the planet, became an ally in what I was doing because I kept his bucket full.
Yep.
Never was a problem because he
It's
had
so good.
attention and control, and anytime, and I would go, "Juan, you did that beautifully." And so Juan's bucket stayed, and that's honestly how I used to look at my students, like they were buckets. And Sally needed this much to be topped off from time
I
to
love
time,
it. I
but
love
Roberta needed this much. And you had
that.
to keep
Absolutely.
putting things in Roberta's bucket because you just couldn't get it filled. But Juan, man, as soon as and he walked taller, and he was like, "She recognizes that I'm an amazing human being,"
Well,
and I
and
did.
because you filled his bucket with the one thing he was seeking, which is attention. And other kids, their bucket might be filled with other things, right?
Absolutely. My
Oh, I
internet
love
went
that. I
sketchy for me.
love that. What a great story.
But I love to go in and teach for those kinds of people. Now, there are other things that are harder for me to recognize, but the attention thing, I always thought that was easy.
Yeah.
And because because it just becomes a thing where if you keep up on it, you never get to the problem.
Yeah.
And it works just, if it's attention, it works 100% of the time. So I super loved that. And love being with those individuals because I get it. I get it.
Totally. So actually, it's funny you say that because the middle child is usually the child that is like the most patient, and
Oh,
they
no.
kind of they no
Not
not in your
me. You know me. I'm not the most patient person. But I'm just always trying to figure out where I fit in. That's like what's my part? Where do I fit
Yeah,
in? What's my
that's
piece?
amazing.
Yeah. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.